Shall we just get started? It's time for the Dynamite Gizmo. Fuck you.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I got these finger exercises from Connor, help him with the grip strength in the fight. If you want to be the best, you got to train like the best. So I'm trying to keep that going.
You know that wasn't his finger, right?
Wait, what?
Very funny, Chase Hooper. Very funny, Chase Rooper. Give me the intro. Oh, man. Oh, shit. There's a dog on the floor. Welcome to the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast, everyone. Episode 260? Are we seriously at 260? There's no way, dude. We're not at 260. There's no fucking way, dude. You gotta be shitting me if we are. I need to take a look. Here's today's card. It's tradition around here to show you the card, but it's not tradition to show you what's on the card, but you'll find out anyway because we'll talk about it. And yes, we're on episode 260 of the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast. Oh my lord, that calls for a JDM.
I don't think that's actually Ian's son, and I don't like Eminem.
I need more sound bites. I've got a huge stream deck. Not the biggest one, but it's bigger than the one that I had. The one that I had only had 6 buttons. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I barely use it. Remember all these?
You guys got it!
Remember Birdham? Oompa Loompa?
Jackpot.
I want to oil you up. What the fuck does that mean?
Dana. Dana.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing.
I am like the elephant. I never forget.
That's not true anymore, Conor McGregor. That's not true anymore. You forget everything. I plugged my camera into my laptop, hoping that this way I don't have to use my camera over Wi-Fi, so it doesn't lag as much. But it looks like it's still a laggy piece of shit. When I do this, when I open up the webcam in a separate window, it seems to be working okay. For a bit, I don't know. What am I, a camera guy? Come on, dude. We need to talk about the UFC. That's what we're here for. That's what the Dynamite Gizmo Podcast has turned into. It's all about UFC. United French Fry Corporation.
And I don't like Eminem.
We need to get back to the roots of what the podcast was. I mean, we're going to stick to the UFC stuff. But we got to use the soundboard more. Remember Cum? Remember Cum?
It's been...
Dude. It's been forever since I've used these.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
They gotta come back, and I will bring them back.
I don't think that's actually Ian's son.
Not a fuck you, what do you need, or nothing.
There's a lot. There's a shit ton.
I don't feel good.
Okay, let's get into this, okay? Dana fucking White came on the old Instagram with his bald-ass head in the war room, and he said, I'm going to announce some fights. You know, a lot of people complain about the way in which Dana White decides to announce fights. Back in the day, it used to be a huge spectacle. You'd get the guys in a room, they'd face each other, they'd talk shit to each other, there'd be a nice trailer montage of something. Or they'd bring the guys in at a pre-fight press conference, and they'd say, guess what? These guys are going to fight next. But not anymore. It's just Dana sitting in a room with his bald head telling you what's up. He's just sitting in a room telling you what's up. And it's not ideal. But the good thing about it is at least we get the fights. I guess it doesn't really matter how they are announced as long as we get the fights. I'm getting messages out the hoo-ha because I'm popular. So Dana yesterday came on the fucking Instagram and he dropped some bangers. And I know bangers. I know bangers, dude. I'm trying to rip off, the fuck's his name? The MMA guru. We got UFC 320. Magomed versus Alex Pereira 2. Oh, yeah. And it's going to co-main with Merab Dvalishvili versus Cory Sandhagen. Okay, that's pretty good. And then we also have Jiri versus Khalil Rountree on the same fucking card. At least I think that's the way they're doing it. They're going to feature with Jiri versus Khalil. They're going to co-main with Merab and Cory. And then they're going to headline with Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. Not too shabby. And finally, after all these fucking years of waiting, we finally get to see Tom Aspinall defend the undisputed heavyweight ciryl against Ciryl Gane. We all knew it was coming. And we were all waiting for the Tom Aspinall announcement. And it happened, and there's not even an ounce of excitement because it's been dragged out for so long that we were all sick of it. It was basically we're just waiting and waiting for the UFC to announce, like, hey, just give them fucking Ciryl Gane. Just give them that cereal, fucking milky cereal. Give them that cereal, dude. And it came, and it's like, okay, there it is. Okay, finally. We'll get that one out of the way, and then I guarantee you, throughout the entirety of 2026, Tom Aspinall is not only going to be the most active fighter of the year, but he's going to be fighter of the year, and he's going to dominate like a motherfucker. Okay, Alex Pereira dominated 2024. He was the guy. He was the man. He was on top. He was the superstar. 2025, he died. Right at the beginning of the year, he died, and we haven't heard from him since. There's been no shamas, and it's sad. It's sad. He was so dominant in 2024, and look at him now. But 2026, it's the year of the Aspinall, and from then on forward, he's going to be the greatest heavyweight champ to ever do it. I guarantee it. There's no way this Ciryl Gane is going to get him down. All right, Tom's going to knock him out in the first round just like he does everybody else. That's what he's going to be known for the rest of his career. Knockout after knockout in the first round, in the first round, in the first round, in the first round, in the... So really stacked lineup. We've been waiting. We've been wanting. There's been some shit cards, there's been some good cards, there's been some okay cards, but now we got some fucking meat on our fucking plate, dude. And I also gotta be honest. Out of all those fights that are announced, the 4 of them, the Jiri versus Khalil fight, probably the fight I'm most excited for. Jiri is one of, if not my favorite fighter in the UFC. I love that dude. For so many reasons, not just the way he fights, but the way he speaks, the way he acts, the things he does. He just seems like the coolest fucking dude ever. I would love to sit down and eat some fucking sushi with that guy. Don't go to a hotel room with him, though. He does some funky stuff, if you know what I mean. Those who know. But with these fight announcements, this puts us in a really awesome situation. Because even though we all want Alex to reclaim that heavyweight title, if he loses and Jiri wins against Khalil, which more than likely will happen, Jiri will be next in line to fight for the title. And he'll fucking smoke Ankh out of the water, and we'll have Jiri as the light heavyweight champ once again. Okay? And even if Alex does win the light heavyweight title back, I'm imagining that Alex will either vacate the light heavyweight title or keep that light heavyweight title and move up to heavyweight and fight Tom Aspinall for the greatest fucking super fight we've ever seen in over a fucking decade. All right? Which will make up for all the fucking John Jones shenanigans. And plus, even if that situation happens, Jiri would still have the opportunity to fight for the vacated title if Alex chooses to do so. So there's so much on the horizon of what could happen. It's a goddamn win-win. I mean, providing that Jiri wins, Jiri has to win. And then we also have Merab versus Cory. Now, I fucking love Cory. How could you not? But him up against Merab, I don't know, man. I don't think he has the skill to do it. I don't think he can take Merab out. And I don't think there's anyone in the top 10 at least who can take out Merab. He's going to be sitting on that throne for quite a while. Okay? Until someone like maybe Vinicius Oliveira climbs up those ranks, which I imagine won't take much longer because he is zooming through the bantamweight division. Or, and this is a big or, and this is a big or, this is a big or, we've got Bryce Mitchell. I know it's crazy to say, okay, but he's talking a big game, dude. I have a clip here. He's talking a big game. He said he used to train with Merab. He knows Merab. Okay? Now, we all know Bryce Mitchell is a featherweight, and he's known for being a featherweight his whole career, his whole UFC career. But he's moving down to bantamweight for this upcoming fight against Said Nurmagomedov. And here he is talking some schmack. Not really smack. He's friends with Merab. But he's saying, I can get the job done.
Path at bantamweight, do you map out how you think you can get to the top?
I think that it wouldn't take long, especially with some great finishes. You go out there and finish, and it wouldn't take many. And then a man would be up top in this division because, like I said, they need something exciting right now. Because let's be honest, nobody's going to beat Merab. Who's going to beat Merab? You're going to have to call somebody that can beat him because right now, literally nobody can beat Merab. So they're going to realize that they need a guy like me. Here I am. Call me.
I like that.
I always pick up the phone. I always say yes. And I don't care who it is. The UFC knows I've never turned down a fight. I don't ask for opponents. I just say yes when they call.
And you mentioned Merab here. You said you don't see anyone beating him. He's supposed to fight Cory Sandhagen next.
And Cory's going to lose. And that's what's going to happen. And you can watch the fight just to watch Cory get beat. But he's not going to win. Nobody's going to beat Merab unless if they call somebody who knows how to. And, yeah, I love Merab. Merab is actually a great friend of mine. And I can promise you he's going to beat Cory. It's boring. Nobody wants to watch him win and not fight. Everybody wants to see a fight. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I'm bringing a fight to this division. It's going to shake things up. It's actually going to get people interested in this division again. Because, once again, nobody wants to watch Merab win easily.
What do you feel like people do wrong against Merab? They point to his cardio, his grappling overwhelming people. Simple as that, or what do you see? What do you feel like people do wrong against him?
Well, it's just the way that they've trained the last 10 years. I've known Merab since I was 19 years old. I met him at Law MMA. Mm-hmm. They're not going to beat him. I've trained with Merab. I know him. Cory ain't going to beat him, and it's not because Cory ain't in great shape and this and that. It's because Cory...
Okay, what are we going to do? Watch the whole interview? What are we going to do? Watch the whole interview? I've got a podcast to do. You get the point. Now, Bryce has had bantamweight fights in the past, and he won them all. But they were amateur bouts outside of the UFC, so it doesn't really reflect anything. We've only ever seen Bryce fight at featherweight in the UFC, and until his loss to Ilia Topuria, before Ilia was even the champ or, thought of being the champ. Before Bryce got knocked out by Ilya, he was on an undefeated UFC win streak of 6 wins. Did you know this? And since that knockout, he has had a win over Dan Ige, he had a loss to Josh Emmett, and then he had a win over Kron Gracie, and then a loss to Jean Silva. Win, lose, win, lose, my guy. Kind of a similar trajectory to what Dustin Poirier did in terms of just simply not having 2 losses in a row. So maybe him moving down to bantamweight will help progress his career a little bit. When you look at Bryce Mitchell at featherweight, he is a kind of a small featherweight. So, yeah, bring him down to bantamweight. Maybe he'll do fucking phenomenal. He'll be a big bantamweight. And maybe he actually can give Merab a run for his money. Like I said, this weekend in particular, he is fighting at bantamweight for the first time ever in his UFC career. And it's a decent matchup against Said Nurmagomedov, who, by the way, just in case if you're wondering, by the last name, he's not related to Khabib. He doesn't even train at Eagles MMA. They have trained together, and they're both from Dagestan, obviously. But he's not part of that Eagle MMA crew. Okay? But he's still a pretty dominant fighter at bantamweight, and we mentioned Vinicius before, earlier in the episode, and actually Said is coming off a loss against Vinicius. They just fought recently. And Vinicius won. He creamed him. Okay? We saw what Bryce did to Kron Gracie. Do you think he's capable of doing the same thing to Nurmagomedov as well? Imagine having that on your resume. You have a win over a Gracie and a Nurmagomedov? That's cool. I know it's Kron Gracie and it's Said Nurmagomedov. It's not like Khabib and fucking Royce Gracie or something, but still. You got those last names on your resume. It looks pretty good. I gotta be Honest.
And I don't like M&M.
Don't touch each other, please.
I am like the elephant. I never forget.
Shut your fucking mouth, you
little fucking rat.
Anyway, we're going to move on to the next topic. Enough has been said about the fights that have been announced. We know what's going on. We know who the players are. We know what the game is. I want to talk about the BMF title. We just saw it happen this weekend. We just saw it be defended for the first time ever. But let's run through the BMF, shall we? I want to talk about it. I want you to know about it. Because it's an interesting thing. Where did it come from? What even is it? Where did it start? Why is it still around? Like many UFC fans, I found myself thinking about the BMF title at least once a year since 2023. It's one of those weird, unofficial belts that's somehow still lingering around, floating somewhere between spectacle and significance. And let's be honest, those of us who followed the BMF story from the beginning know that it was never meant to be a real title. It was always a promotional stunt. Something flashy to add hype, not something grounded in merit or rankings. Even in the most recent BMF title fight between Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, the belt felt like an afterthought. The real moment was Poirier's retirement, his third fight against Holloway, and the Louisiana crowd sending him off. The BMF title, it was just there. There are no official rules for how the BMF title is defended or lost. It's only on the line if the UFC says it is. There's no ranking system, no contender ladder, no mandatory defenses. So how did we even get here? Let's go back to the beginning, okay? The BMF title didn't come from a boardroom or press related. It came from pure trash talk, pure hype. In August of 2019, Jorge Masvidal delivered a flying knee that knocked out Ben Askren in just 5 seconds at UFC 239, still the fastest KO in UFC history. That moment sent Masvidal's popularity into orbit. And just a side note, Ben Askren's doing good. He's on his way home now. Fucking rights, buddy. So anyway, after that knockout, just weeks later, Nate Diaz returned to the UFC and beat Anthony Pettis at UFC 241. And at the post-fight press conference, Diaz claimed he was the baddest motherfucker in the game. And he called out Masvidal directly. Meanwhile, Masvidal had just recently competed in a grappling match with Pettis, which ended in a draw. So the timing of Diaz calling him out right after beating the same guy was perfect. And with all the fan hype, the UFC leaned into this. They created a custom BMF belt, baddest motherfucker, based off of what Nate Diaz claimed he was, just for this fight. And announced Diaz versus Masvidal as the headliner of UFC 244 at Madison Square Garden for the BMF title. So then we jump ahead to the fight itself, November 2nd, 2019, Madison Square Garden, New York. The fight itself was one-sided. Masvidal dominated Diaz with striking and elbows and body shots and brutal head kick that dropped Nate early. And after 3 rounds, the doctor called it due to a deep cut over Diaz's eye. And Jorge Masvidal became the first ever BMF champion. And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came out, wrapped the belt around Masvidal's waist, and Dana White at that time claimed it was a one and done. And spoiler alert, it wasn't. Okay? So then we jump ahead. Not yet. Well, between Masvidal held the title from 2019 to 2023, but he never defended it. In fact, he lost 3 straight fights in a row. Twice to Kamaru Usman and once to Colby Covington. But because the BMF belt wasn't officially on the line, it stayed with Masvidal. Now, if the title hadn't been labeled one and done, you could argue Usman should have became the new BMF after beating Masvidal. But the UFC wasn't treating the belt like a real title. At least not yet. And by mid-2023, Masvidal had retired after a loss to Gilbert Burns. And then the BMF belt was now technically vacant. So then came UFC 291, a rematch between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, whose 2018 war was a Fight of the Year candidate. The UFC decided this matchup was worthy of the BMF belt. Why? Because both guys are brawlers. They stand and bang, as the kids like to say. That's an unwritten criteria, some would say, needed for this title. And they fought, and Gaethje won via second-round head kick KO, becoming the new BMF. Dana White confirmed the belt was officially back and staying in rotation. Then came one of the greatest moments in UFC history. Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje at UFC 300 for the BMF belt. Leading up to this event, fans were skeptical. Conor McGregor had pulled out, the card was in flux, Max versus Gaethje felt like a last-minute filler, but it turned into absolute pure fucking magic. With 10 seconds left in round 5, Holloway pointed to the center of the octagon, signaling Gaethje to throw down. Max was already winning on the scorecards, yet risked it all in a final exchange. They brawled extremely hard, and with 1 second left, Holloway landed a clean KO that dropped Gaethje face first. It was unbelievable. The crowd went absolutely fucking ballistic. And just like that, Max Holloway became the new BMF. Many now consider it to be the greatest knockout in UFC history. Not just for the finish, but for the moment itself, okay? It was UFC 300. It was in Vegas. There was 1 second left in the final round. It was against Justin Gaethje on the biggest card of the year. And it was even International Fight Week, wasn't it? Or maybe that was 303. I can't remember. It was a cinematic ending to a fight people thought didn't belong on the card. And after that, even BMF skeptics had to admit the belt finally meant something. Then came Max versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight belt. Ilia handed Max his first knockdown of his UFC career and finished him by KO. So does Topuria get the BMF belt too? No, because it wasn't declared a BMF fight. Max lost, but still kept the title just like Masvidal did before. But then that raises the question, should the BMF title automatically transfer hands when the holder loses regardless of whether the UFC promotes it as a BMF fight? If you ask me, that's where the belt loses some legitimacy, because now we've seen Holloway lose by knockout and still defend the title a few months later against Poirier at UFC 318. He wins, keeps the belt, and now there's talk of a rematch with Topuria. And if Max wins, he'd be the lightweight champ and the BMF champ. But if Topuria wins again, and the BMF title isn't on the line, he walks away with just the lightweight title. We're at a point where the BMF feels like a pick and choose kind of title. You can lose as long as the UFC didn't declare it official. That's a little messy. And if you look at the actual lineal path of the BMF, in which it should have taken, if we're following the same standards as every other belt, it should have gone like this. Jorge beat Nate. Usman beat Jorge. Leon beat Usman. Belal beat Leon. And JDM beat Belal. So if we're getting really technical with this, JDM is actually the current BMF title holder, as crazy as that sounds. Now, I've thought about this. And you know what? I don't think the BMF should take a lineal path. I think it's okay to keep going the way we're doing with this. It's not meant to be an official title. It's kind of just like a spectacle event that takes place when it's needed. If you want the official shit, then we have the titles, the lightweight title, the heavyweight, all those titles, right? I think it's okay to let the BMF be the way it is right now. But what do you think? Do you think the BMF title is just total bullshit? Should the BMF belt be on the line every time the holder of the BMF fights? Should the UFC set rules for how it's defended or passed on? Or do you like the chaos, that it only exists when the story makes sense? Let me know what you think in the comments, because whether you love it or hate it, the BMF title is still here, and for now, it belongs to Max Holloway. Suck me in the ass.
I want to oil you up. What the fuck does that mean?
Dana, you can't oil me. I'm going to oil you.
Jackpot.
We're going to move on to the final segment of the day, because this weekend we have a fucking banger of a card. It's not too often we get a solid banger of a numbered pay-per-view these days, let alone a banger fight night card. But this weekend, we've got a stacked Abu Dhabi lineup. This one's loaded right to the fucking tits. And let's be honest, it's simply because it is in Abu Dhabi, okay? The UFC clearly favors any card that lands in the Middle East. Why? Well, you know why. It's the money, okay? I don't need to explain it to you. Okay, you'll hear all the complaints. The West doesn't get the good cards. Dana's holding out on North America, blah, blah, blah. But come on, I mean, really, like, who cares? Who cares where it is if the fights are fire. I mean, it doesn't even. Who cares where it is? We still get the fights, right? Abu Dhabi or not, the card is still worth watching. Okay? We got Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov, which we mentioned. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. Shara Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barrial. Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. And then to close the night off, we've got Robert Whittaker versus RDR. What? What the heck is going on here? This is 100% pay-per-view worthy. But we're getting on a fight night. Whatever, dude. What are you complaining about? It's free. It's a free card. I guess, well, you got to have ESPN, but we get a banger like this? Free? I mean, come on. How can you complain, really? Like, I get it. You know, you want to see these fun cards on a main number event in North America. But whatever, dude. We still get the fights. Also, side note, UFC 308, which took place in Abu Dhabi last year in October, was my favorite card of 2024. Absolute fucking madness from top to bottom. All right? But let's zero back in on this matchup. Okay? Specifically, the Shara Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barrial. That's specifically what I want to talk about, okay? I've talked about Shara a lot in the past, but I want to talk about him again on one specific aspect of him, because you may not even be aware, but but if you watch now, you're going to be.
You little fucking rat.
Shara Magomedov was one of many fighters this year to lose their O. In fact, he was one of the first. I don't think he was the first, but he was one of them. He came into 2025 with a pristine 15-0 record overall, and he was 4-0 in the UFC, but that changed in February when he faced Michael Venom Page in Saudi Arabia. MVP didn't just beat him, he derailed the hype train. And yet, here's the thing. Shara still has all the tools to rise back up and make a real run at the UFC middleweight title. But there's a catch, and it's a weird one. If Shara ever becomes champion, there's a very real chance he'll never fight in North America. Possibly not even in Europe. Why? Because of his eye. Okay? Shara he's blind in one eye. If you did not know, he has no vision. His eye is completely milked over. His nickname might be the Bullet, but everyone knows him by a different name, which is the Pirate. Even MVP mocked him after their fight, calling himself the captain now. So here's the backstory. Around 2016, early in Shara's career, he was training in Thailand when he suffered a devastating eye injury. We still don't know exactly how it happened. He's never said it directly, but it was during training. Over the course of 2 years, he went through 8 major surgeries trying to save the eye, and none of them worked. Eventually, doctors recommended removing it to avoid infection. He chose not to do that. What? The doctors recommended removing it to avoid infection, and he didn't do it. He just kept it in, and just like that, Shara lost all functional vision in one eye. I messed up on my notes. Anyway, despite the eye injury, Shara returned and put together some incredible performances, especially at UFC 308. That's when he scored one of the wildest KOs of the year, possibly of the decade, with a double spinning back fist knockout over Armen Petrosyan. Right at the end of round 2, nobody saw it coming. Petrosyan especially didn't see it coming. That moment is why I and lots of fans still believe Shara has championship potential. But he's locked out of North America. The athletic commissions won't license him due to the loss of vision. So as it stands, he can only fight in the Middle East or regions with looser medical rules. That's it. So what if he gets the belt? Here's the question. What if Shara actually rises through the ranks and earns a title shot? Will the UFC make the champion travel to fight him overseas? That's not usually how it works. Normally the champ calls the shots, as it should be, not the challenger. And right now, Dricus du Plessis is the middleweight king, is the middleweight champ. And honestly, I think DDP can beat Khamzat in their upcoming fight. So if Dricus keeps the belt long enough for Shara to challenge him, he might be willing to fly to the Middle East. Or maybe they meet halfway in South Africa. I don't know what the commission rules are like there, but it might be looser, like Saudi Arabia or the UAE. And if Khamzat wins and holds the title instead, no problem. Khamzat will 100% fight in that part of the world. Or maybe Dricus won't go overseas to fight him. Maybe he'll say, I want you to come here no matter what. We're not even close to that point, but it's just an aspect to think about when we watch Shara Magomedov. The more he wins, the more of a chance he's going to have at that belt. Now, by the way, we've seen this kind of thing before with Michael Bisping. He also suffered a career-altering eye injury, but unlike Shara, Bisping kept fighting in the U.S. and the U.K. Now, how did he do that? Well, he lied. Straight up lied. Bisping has admitted in interviews and even in his autobiography, that he tricked doctors, memorized eye charts, and used a glass lens to hide the damage. He adjusted his stance, head movement, and his range, all to compensate for the blind eye. And back then, athletic commissions weren't using retinal scans, just basic vision tests, and Bisping passed. He even won the UFC middleweight title in 2016 while fighting completely blind in one eye. So here we are. Now we've got Shara in a very similar situation, even same division, same injury, but a very different path forward. Today's commissions won't allow what Bisping pulled off. Shara's honesty might be the thing that holds him back. So what do you think? Is Shara good enough to eventually wear gold? And if he is, should the rest of the division be expected to fly across the world just to fight him? Or does that become too much of a logistical burden for the UFC? Oh, we froze for a second. Don't scare me like that, computer. I don't know, dude. Why don't we take a look at the lineup? UFC.com, 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 Uvazikadonk, Gabangunkadong. Also, I will have fight prediction sheets available, free download. The link will be in the description by this Friday. If you don't know what a fight prediction sheet is, then go fuck your hat. You can go to my Instagram and see what a fight prediction sheet is. Or you can click the link in the bio and see what 318s look like. And it's just the same, okay? Okay, so we got... Why was I looking at this again? I don't remember. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. I think I looked this guy up. He seems pretty decent. I think it's his debut. Pretty sure it is. See, it's a pretty decent card, dude. Stoked for Bryce. Stoked for this. Nah. Stoked. I'm going to stoke the fire, baby. I don't got much else to say. If you want to watch a good fight this weekend, if you want to watch multiple good fights this weekend, then watch them. I mispronounced what I was supposed to say. But I'm really fucking hungry as usual. I film these right after I do my fucking yoga. Just kidding, I don't do yoga. But I'm always hungry at the end of a podcast. And I always need to eat. And I love eating. I love it. We're human beings and we love to eat. Remember, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. You have to do it. You have no choice. It's not up to me. It's the government rules. I don't make the rules. You have to subscribe!